Welcome to Adobe Live, and I'm here with Ayana Campbell Smith, and today we're going to be finishing up her pet adoption app design.
Yep.
So exciting day ahead of us. So I'll just let you jump right into introducing yourself again for anyone that wasn't here the last 2 days.
Let's do it. Hi guys, my name is Ayana Campbell Smith. I'm a product designer and illustrator. I have a little intro presentation that I'll just go through real quick. Again, thank you to Adobe. Today's day 3, my last day. I'm going home tomorrow. Super sad to be leaving.
Went so fast,
Yeah,
right?
it went by so fast. It's been a lot of fun. But thank you guys again always for having me. Born and raised in Orlando, graduate of UCF. Go Knights. I have a degree in graphic design, and I currently work at NV Labs as a senior designer. So if you guys are interested in seeing what we're doing there, please visit us online, nvlabs.com. And I'm a lover of clean interfaces, animation, and cute stuff in general. So here's my cute folder that I've been showing the past couple of days.
Wish all my folders looked like that.
Yeah, that'd be super fun if they were. Some more work that I've done over the last couple of years. A couple of prototyping things. I see Connor in the chat. It's one of my coworkers. Hi, Connor.
Oh, awesome.
It's fun characters. So today we're going to be continuing the pet adoption app that I've been designing in Adobe XD. So this app is designed to help you match with dog breeds and local adoptions in your area based on a personality quiz, and also being able to search local adoptions. So as far as what we've already covered, day 1 we did some app planning, and I showed you some sketches and defined some user needs for the app. So I sketched out some user journeys, a couple of wires there, and then we jumped into wireframes after that in XD. On day 2, I shared a mood board, so I kind of showed you some apps that I was looking at, and kind of showing you how they solve different problems that we're also solving with the app that I'm building. So that was fun seeing that. On day 2, we also started design, which I'll show you in a second. So we're in day 3 now. I'm going to be prototyping the app in XD using auto animate and some more cool fun features. So looking forward to doing that.
Awesome.
And that's in my presentation. I actually have some prototyping wires that I can show.
Oh, cool. You want to show off the notebook again?
We have my notebook,
Sweet.
trusty notebook here. So let's just dive into the GoPro camera, and I can share kind of some of my sketches. So this is kind of how I always start my prototyping process. I sort of make a list of the features that I want to kind of show with my prototypes, and then I'll also draw out some little quick wireframes and some notes in red about kind of like the thought process that I'm taking as far as like how it should animate.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And stuff like that. So you guys will kind of see I have some ideas about animating cards. I can't really see it down here, but some photo transitions, kind of swipes, making a little light box down here. So we have a bunch of fun stuff that we can get through. I have a long list, so we'll just see what we can get through, and
Awesome.
That'll be it.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
Your sketches are so good compared to mine, like so organized and so perfect. But otherwise, be sure to stick around because we're doing portfolio reviews at the end of the stream today. So if you want us to check out your Behance profile, give you some feedback on your designs and your portfolio overall, definitely hit the tab above the chat so you can submit that. But other than that, we can get started here pretty quick.
Yeah.
So we did have a couple of screens that we didn't finish, right? Did you want to finish those up first?
I actually finished those up yesterday,
perfect.
but I can show them real quick just so we kind of know where we're
Definitely.
at, where we're starting. I'll just review real quick everything that we went over yesterday.
Great.
So we have a couple of screens. I think there's about 12 of them that we have. So we have our start screen. We have our screen for choosing the path that you want to take as far as either taking the personality quiz or jumping into the search. We have a look at kind of what the quiz question will look like, and then once you're done with the quiz, the actual results, what that would look like. After that, we have our home page with our fun little navigation bar here. And the home page has like our search, recent searches, recently viewed dogs, and then other recommended dogs in your area. So that's pretty fun. Again, we have our search criteria here. That's pretty straightforward. Our search results, the same thing. And then I think this is the page that we left off on yesterday, so the dog detail page. And I actually went through last night and I finished out this design, so
very nice.
You'll see that we have a fun little picture up here, some information about the dog, and then some location information details about the shelter where you could find this dog.
Nice. I like that you added the starred reviews there.
Yeah, thought that was
It's
kind of
nice touch.
fun. And then also we have down below some more recommended dogs that are kind of similar to this one. Then a couple more pages here. We have our breed guide. So this is kind of like a fun page where you can go every day and learn about the breed of the day, see your recommended breeds based on your personality quiz that you took, and then some other trending breeds that are in your that are being searched often on the app. And then our breed detail page is like this. It's basically just giving information about the breed. I added some fun little icons that I illustrated. Some more sections, spot for a video, just some fun stuff about the breed. A little bit of data play right there. Related breeds down at the bottom. And then up here, this is just a simple sort of like save section. So there's 2 tabs, either for dogs that you've saved or breeds that you saved. List out that stuff down below, and then over here we have some breeds.
Very nice.
Yep. So.
Came together really well.
Oh, thank you.
It's looking great.
Thanks so much.
And it looks like Chad agrees with you. This looks so good, so
Thank you, guys.
inspiring.
Oh, Brienne. Hi, Brienne. Seeing a lot of familiar names in the chat right now.
Yeah, for sure. Ash is always around. Cool to see you again. Said he's loving the colors.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
clean. Totally agree. There was a question throughout that I wrote down just to make sure I didn't miss it. It's not necessarily to the app, but a design question. Should a product designer be a graphic designer?
I think it definitely helps. Like I mentioned in the beginning, my degree is in graphic design, and
Very true.
I think that really helped me as far as knowing about design principles like hierarchy and typography rules and things like that. So I think having that sort of background is helpful, but I don't think it's required though.
Yeah, I think that's
It just makes the
spot
transition
on
easier.
with how I feel about it as well. Someone asked if we can get this XD file. You were thinking about actually making this app, so you probably don't want to
Yeah,
share
I don't think
it.
I'm going to share this file, but I did see someone, I don't know if they're in the chat today, I saw someone on Instagram, they tagged me in their story. They actually spent
really?
time yesterday rebuilding
Oh, wow.
what
Perfect.
I did.
Well, we should get them to share theirs.
Yeah, we
That's
want to see
awesome.
theirs. So if you're in the chat, please send us a link to your XD
Definitely.
prototype, and we'd love to see it
It's
on the
awesome
stream.
that somebody was so inspired to
Yeah,
recreate
it was awesome. I was really, really happy to see that.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have as far as showing the app. I can just dive into
Yeah,
XD
go ahead.
and start prototyping. Okay,
Someone's
so.
sharing the green color in the chat too.
Oh, yep, there you go. Okay, so I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna hop over to the prototype tab. And as you guys saw in my sketches, I have some interactions that might be a little bit more complex. So I'll kind of build upon stuff that I'm doing and work on those. But then some of these are more simpler as far as just hooking up the pages. So I'll kind of show that process.
Yeah.
And just kind of move from left to right and sort of connect these pages the way they need to be connected.
Awesome.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this just logo and make this link to the next page so we have a way to get into sort of start the app. So just clicking on that logo here and dragging out this handle and connecting it to this first page. I want the trigger to be a tap, and I'm going to just do a transition and have it, let's see, we're going to have it slide to the left. So and I'll just demonstrate really quick what that looks like. You just tap that, and there you go. That simple. That took what,
So easy.
3 seconds? So that's a simple way that you could just start building out your prototype, just linking the pages that way. But if you really want to get down into like the fine details, I would definitely suggest looking at using the auto animate, which is what I'm going to demonstrate in a second here. But yeah, it's super easy to start connecting pages. So I'm also going to take this link here, grab this button, drag another handle here, and link over to this quiz page. And then I also want to demonstrate down here, there's this other fun feature that you can kind of use. So I want to link this search bar over to the search criteria here, but I want it to be sort of like an overlay, so I can show you guys how I did that. So select your search bar, click and drag the handle over to the search page design over here. And then for this one, instead of using transition as the action, I'm going to use overlay. And I'm going to have it slide up. And I can demonstrate what that looks like.
Yeah,
It's
that'll be
really
perfect.
fun. So go back here, tap that, and it slides up above
So
it.
easy. That's so fast
Yeah.
to make it so interactive
Yeah,
like that.
so it's very interactive. You can really get a sense of, you know, how the app would actually work once
Right.
once it's actually built. So, And I think if I just click on it again, it'll go back down. So
Yep.
it's a fun
Doesn't
transition
get much
there.
easier than that.
Yep. So going back to the beginning, we already have like, I guess, 4 screens linked up. Up Finder, search. There you go.
It's already starting to feel like a real app.
Really fun. Okay, so next I want to work on this sort of like more complex swipe transition animation, and I'm actually gonna have to design a couple of things for this because I basically want to have this card in the middle sort of swipe over to the side and have another one take its place.
Yeah.
So for me, just to stay organized, I like to duplicate this layer or this artboard. So I'm just gonna hold Alt and drag and click and drag it down, just so I have a clean workspace to work in. And what I found is that usually it helps me to drag the elements off the artboard so they're not kind of going off, and I like to work over to the side and then bring it back to the position where it should be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this one question, which is this one, and then I'm gonna copy this twice.
So there was a quick question about how did you come up with all the content for the app? It's really nice, but there's no filler text. So you did write out some text for it.
Yeah,
and everything,
I have
so.
some text that I borrowed it from the AKC, some sort of breed website, and I think I went on another adoption website and grabbed a bio from one dog that I saw. So yeah. Actually, I need to open my text here.
She prepares it beforehand. She's really organized.
That's exactly what I did. I actually designed the entire app before I got here, guys. So.
Gotta be prepared.
Yeah. So I have some other questions written out, and I'm actually going to just copy and paste those into here. So this one is going to be about training. And then I'm going to delete this button, drag down another one, and then I have some options here. So it's 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and then see if I can keep this to the side. Update this here. So 1 to 3 hours. Copy that, paste it here. 4 to 6 hours. Let's see, 7 to 9. And then this one's going to be 10 plus, which if you have 10 hours to devote to training a dog, like you need to just quit your job and do that full time, because
that's your job now.
That's a huge time commitment. And then all of these icons up here kind of relate, so you can see this one's about where you live, and so I'm gonna grab one that's more related to like training, which I have these over here. So let's grab this one.
The small details that a lot of people can overlook, especially as beginners, so that's a great little tip too.
Yeah, and it's just fun to like break up your design with little illustrated assets, so it's always fun to do. I'm gonna paste that one there and make it that grayish green color, center it, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that one's for training.
Got a comment that they love all of the icons.
Oh,
so you did some of them, right?
Yeah, some of them I drew, and then some of them were from a free icon set that I found called Streamline, I believe. You guys can look it up. Matt D. Smith, and I believe someone else, I don't remember exactly who it was, but they worked on this huge icon set, and they were offering 300 of them for free. So I jumped on that when I saw that on Twitter a couple weeks ago.
Sweet.
And then I'm gonna grab this other icon. It's like a little comb, because I have a question that's about
grooming.
Yeah, grooming.
That's perfect.
I know on day one we were talking about that being an important factor for some people, because some people don't like shedding.
Absolutely.
Which I'm probably one of those people. I don't like shedding because I wear a lot of black.
Yeah, same.
Zach and I both have the black memo today, so. Okay, so we have 3 questions. And then what I want to do is basically I want these 2 that are going to come in to be kind of a little lower, because then when they come in, they'll sort of like shoot up and kind of arc up that way.
Nice.
And I'm going to make the space between even, so it's going to be about 16 pixels here 16 pixels here. I'm just holding down Alt on my keyboard and hovering over the other object that I'm trying to measure the distance from. And you'll see that the little guides kind of show in the middle there. Okay, so I've found that when I'm doing these sort of prototyping interactions, it helps me to group them just so when I grab it, I'm not having to like keep track of what I'm grabbing. Yeah. So I'm gonna just hit Command G on my keyboard to group it. And then I'll just move this over here. And this should be somewhat centered. Okay. And one other thing I forgot to mention is that you need to make sure that you're renaming these questions. So.
All right, yeah.
This one is question 1, so I'm going to rename that.
Names of them is very important for the auto
convention
animation.
is very important because otherwise your program will get all wacky and not know exactly what it needs to do. So, okay, so we have question 1, question 2, and question 3 on the end.
Cool.
And you'll notice I kind of put it in reverse order because I want question 2 to basically kind of overlap the other one.
Right.
This will all make sense in a second. Okay, so we have that set up, and now I'm going to click and drag to duplicate this artboard after I rename it. So this is question 1. Hold Alt and drag to create another artboard. And I'm going to rename this one question 2. And basically what you want to do is you want to transition these cards to where you want them to be, and then once we link them and use auto animate, it'll work. So let me do that.
Tim's like, trust me, it makes sense.
Stay with me, guys. So I'm going to move this one over here just so I know it needs to be aligned. And then I'm going to bring number 3 over.
This is a great question from Caitlin. Do you usually prepare an app with full prototyped interactions before showing it to your devs, or do you usually just give them the XD flow design?
I usually pull out some interactions that I think are fun. I don't really do a full prototype as far as like interactions. I'll definitely link all of the pages together just so they can click through and know, what buttons are supposed to lead where. But as far as like the more fun stuff, the animations, I usually pick out a couple of things that they may not be able to figure out themselves, and then I'll prototype those for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I'm gonna align this one and then bring this up here. And then this up.
Got a comment saying, I would literally spend hours just aligning each artboard so that they are spaced equally. I'm very weird that way.
I am exactly like that, so
You're not alone.
You are not alone. There's a group for us. We need to start a Slack channel for organized designers or something like that.
Mark is giving you some advice for fixing that progress circle that you were trying to do yesterday. He said to option delete the point. Circle has to have the stroke aligned to center.
Okay, I'll have to try that. Let me finish this, and then maybe we can dive back over there and see if that works, because that was really
yeah, it'd be awesome if we can get that to work.
Okay, so not sure if you guys can see. So basically I have my first card and then my second card where the second question kind of comes in and the other question goes down. And then I'm gonna use this button down here, move back over to the prototype tab, use this button as my trigger, connect it to this artboard, and then instead of doing overlay, we're gonna do auto animate. And if I've done everything right, this should work, so let's keep our fingers crossed.
Here we go, moment of truth.
Here we go.
Oop, that looks great.
One more time.
So good.
And what I did, as far as my settings go, I have it set to snap for the easing, and then it's a 0.5 second duration.
Perfect.
Yep.
Hashtag organized creatives.
Oh, there we go. Good one, Brienne. I actually want to do it again so that we have that third question pop up. So just so we have a full flow. My computer feels like it's slowing down a little bit today. Okay, so we're gonna have this one go off, this one come over here, and then question 3. We'll come to the center. 1, 2, 3. 16 pixels apart. And then again, I'm just going to use one of these buttons here. There we go.
We also only have 9 minutes until Chat and Win. We're doing another hardcover Moo notebook. Very nice. So stick around. In about 9 minutes, we'll be doing Chat and Win for this awesome notebook.
Okay, so we have all 3 hooked up. Uh-oh, what happened? There we go. So let's see if that works. We have our first one. There we go. And I think I put it on. Yep.
So good.
There we go. See that one more time. Or not. Computer's like, what's going on? Once again. And there we go.
Such a perfect flow.
Yep.
Looks great.
Thank you so much. So that is that, and then I'm just gonna sort of, let's see. Assuming that this would be like the last question of the quiz, you would tap maybe one of these buttons and then be taken to
your results.
Your results here.
Cool.
And then we don't need auto animate on this. We can just do a regular transition, and I'll do another slide left. Okay, so that's one example.
You got a comment of don't forget to change the name of the artboard. I'm not sure if you skipped one there or not.
Oh, I did. Okay, yeah. This is question 3.
Perhaps we could have a bark sound effect when you answer each question.
That would be so fun. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe come back to this one because it seems like my computer's running a little bit slow because of all the fun animation that we're having, but I want to demonstrate also this other idea that I had for the way that this content would sort of scroll when you're using it. So let's see. Come on, computer. Let's see. Or not.
Judd said he loved the slide option and it feels real and smooth. I totally agree.
Thank you. Computer is acting a little funny here, so let me see.
Maybe try, well, you're just moving something right now, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to move it, but
I would switch over to the design tab for that.
Oh, okay, that
might
makes
work
sense. Yeah,
a lot smoother.
maybe. There we go. Okay,
Nice
so what
one.
I want to do here is to have this sort of white section and all the content that's on top of it scroll over that section above.
Okay, cool.
When you're using it. So the way that I would do that is to have all of these elements here remain fixed using this option here on the side. Let's see, logo, fixed. Search bar, status bar, logo, that should be fixed. And then everything else should scroll if I did this correctly.
There's a comment that they think your computer's being slow because of the battery level. It says charging, right?
Yeah, it says it's charging.
It's only at 2%, so that's weird.
Yeah, maybe I should plug it directly. Let me do that real quick.
Yeah, that might
Plug
fix
it directly into the computer.
It'll probably charge a lot faster that way.
Hopefully. Okay, so I don't know if you guys caught what I just did, but I have this little nav bar down here fixed to the bottom, and I also have this content up here fixed to the top, and so then when you're scrolling, you can see that it's kind of overlaying over there on top
Yeah, that
of
looks so good.
Yeah, thanks. And then also, we can do the same thing here with this, this search bar if we move over to the prototype tab. I'm gonna do the same transition that I did before where it overlays and it slides up. So now if you click this, it slides up on top of there.
Nice.
So there's a lot of fun little things that you can do just to make this feel like a real app and really get a sense of what it looks like, or what it'll look like when it's a real application. And then I'm also going to do the same thing moving forward to this section, I'll add a link here between the search button and the results so that when you tap it, it transitions to the left. So say we're starting here. Swipe, do that, whatever. Bring the search bar up and then goes into the next page. And it should be a, let's see, slide left. Looks like it didn't work, but yeah, that's the idea. There you go.
Okay, cool, yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Someone asked if you used Photoshop to prepare the images. You didn't, right?
No, I didn't. I just used a basic box, and then I clicked and I dragged the image onto it, and it creates a mask automatically. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely
really simple.
super easy to manage photos in XD.
And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Move back to the Design tab. Let's lock this background pattern. I want the status bar to be fixed, also matches, and then this filter option to be fixed. And then everything else should scroll. And I also want to bring in my navigation down to the bottom so that when it scrolls, it stays fixed. So again, I need to turn fixed on here. And then we have cute little transition that way.
Only 2.5 minutes for the chat and win, so definitely log into behance.net/live so you can jump in the chat in about 2 minutes. So how many screens do we have connected now?
A lot. I don't know exactly. I think we have, let's see, like
Have
there's
all that
3
flow
here,
done.
this flow here.
Nice.
Probably like 7 or 8 screens connected, I'd say.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay, so my next thing that I want to do is I really want to have a cute little like transition effect for these images. I almost pointed to my screen like you guys could see it, but I forgot you can't. So I'm gonna move these artboards over and give myself some room so I can work. So we're gonna take this image of King Stuart I over here.
Still has to be one of my favorite dog names ever.
Yeah, it's a pretty good name. So I'm gonna call this image 1. I'm gonna duplicate this twice. Call this one image 2. And then we'll call this one image 3. And let's grab some other dog photos of Stuart. Let's see. Number 1. I had my friend send me some more pictures of him so you guys can see him. Look how happy he is. And here's Stuart on a boat. Let's see on this one a little bit.
Stuart has a great photographer owner.
She's a designer too, so she has an eye.
Makes sense.
Okay, so I have these 3 images. Notice again that they're kind of stacked so that image 2 will overlap number 1 when it transitions, and then image 3 will overlap number 2 when it transitions.
Nice.
So I'm gonna group those together. Call this, just call it carousel. And then I'm going to bring it back over onto my artboard here. I'll delete this old one and then just paste this one on top. Bring it back here. Okay, so again, I want this to be like a carousel so that when you tap or when you swipe, the other images that are off screen currently will transition onto the front of it. So I'm going to duplicate this artboard. It's currently called Dog Detail 1. I'll call this next one Dog Detail 2.
Everyone loves Stuart in the chat.
You should love him. He's great.
Speaking
I love
of
him
chat,
too.
time for chat and win.
Oh, really? Good.
So we're gonna have a quick intro to that, but stick around and make sure to log in during the intro so you can join the chat. But we'll be right back. All right, all you gotta do is jump in the chat and you'll be entered to win this Moo notebook. You can get in pretty much any color, so you don't have to do blue. But definitely jump in the chat right now. Love seeing the chat explode.
Go. A lot of people want this
Someone's
notebook.
like, wait, I'm not ready.
Moo luck.
Moo is a great name for a
Oh,
company.
look at the little cow emoji. Saw that.
Oh yeah, nice. Look at it go. Love XD, nice comment. Any minute now. Keep it going. Me. Moo. I think everyone should just say moo.
Yeah, everyone just. Oh, yep, more cow emojis. Yay. Oh, puppy one.
Adobe. And we have a winner. Felix, you have won.
Yay, Felix.
We'll be reaching out to you on DM on Behance later today. So look out for that.
Congratulations.
And congrats.
Cool. Okay, and we're back to King Stewart. So, yes. On page number 2, what we want to happen is have image number 2 transition over. So I'm going to grab 2 and 3, and I'm just going to use my arrows on my keyboard, start moving them over, and have it come over like this. And then also, you guys might not be able to see, but I have these sort of like indicator dots down here.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice
I'm actually going to make those transition also. So I'll do press 0 on my keyboard to bring that opacity up to 100, and then on the first one I'll press 5 on my keyboard to drop that down to 50% opacity. And then just, again, I'm going to use the auto animate feature. So I'll just use prototype tab, click over here. I'm going to transition.
Oh, Tim actually just shared a link. If you didn't win, you can get 15% off using the Adobe Live link.
Hop on
So
that.
go get your own notebook for 15% off.
So I'm going to do auto animate again. I just did tap for my trigger just to be easy, for it to be easier. And then I'm going to do the ease in and out, leave the duration at 0.5 seconds, and then let's test this and see if it worked. Yep. Go back
Looking
to
good.
that. One more time. Cool.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to duplicate this artboard again. Rename it Dog Detail 3. And then I'm just going to have image 3 pop over. Line it up here. Again, change these dots again. Oops. Make this one 100, this one 50. And if we start from here, prototype, when I tap this carousel, I want it to, actually no, from here. Tap
right,
here and then transition to image 3. These settings should all be the same, but let me just check and make sure. Yep.
Cool.
So starting from the beginning, let's see. First image, second image, and the third image.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And it's so easy to get all these set up. So once you get the design down, it'll be super easy to prototype and get the animations in.
Yep.
So you can really show how the app's going to feel.
For sure. And then the last thing that I want to do is, let's see, I want to make, like, tapping an image also, have it open up like a light
Oh, right,
box,
like
basically.
take it
Yeah.
up. Makes
So
sense.
let me duplicate this artboard.
Got some comments saying we need more photos of Stuart or a full gallery of Stuart.
Let's see, do I have more? I think those are the only ones I have, unfortunately, sorry. Here's Teddy. He's fun too.
Both have great photographer owners.
Yeah. I saw someone in the chat asked if I took the pictures. No, I didn't take the pictures
Oh.
of Stuart. I mentioned it was my friend at work. This is her dog, and she took the pictures of him.
Well, everyone loves him. And so we have about 54 minutes until the portfolio submission deadline. So we'd love to check out your portfolios. So just hit that tab above the chat so you can submit yours. and we'll check them out at the end of the stream. I think one of my favorite things of the stream is checking out the portfolios.
Yeah, it's always fun to do that.
Always fun to check out the chat, what they're working on, and their design skills, and give our feedback.
So what I'm doing currently is I just grouped all of this content down at the bottom. That's not the images, and I'm just shrinking down this artboard here. And then I'm going to duplicate this artboard and rename it to be something like Lightbox. Basically what I want to happen is I want this content here to drop down off screen.
There was a comment, according to the indicator dots, we need one more image of Stuart, so there might be an extra dot in there or something?
Yeah, I guess I have 4. That's my bad.
You let him down? You thought there was going to be
Sorry.
more?
Sorry. And then I don't want this background to be teal color. I want it to be black. So I'm just going to change this to be like a dark color. And then I also need to change it here so that it knows. Let's see. The artboard. Is it selecting there? Okay, yeah. So in the background, there's black there too.
Nice.
For some reason, this didn't change. Let's see. There we go.
Perfect.
So we have that, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this drop down to the center. We're gonna drop these icons down to be opacity 0, so they just fade out. Indicator dots can fade too. And then I want this fun little like zoom out effect, so I'm actually gonna zoom this photo out just a little bit. And then we need a way to exit out of the light box, so I'm gonna grab one of these exit icons that I made yesterday. Just paste that up here. Make it white.
That's a good point you said. I wonder how your friend feels about her putting her dog up for sale on her house. Didn't even think of that.
Didn't think of that, nope. Well, I'm sure she would fight you if you tried to take her, so watch out. So I'm going to move back over to the prototype tab, add one more interaction to this image here, so when you tap this, it'll transition over to this light box. And then from the light box, I want to make sure that we can transition using this exit icon back over to the original. So let's go ahead and test that out. There you go. Cute little light box. Back
Oh,
and
I
forth.
love that flow. Looks great.
Thank you. Yep, so that's a lot of fun.
Nice.
And then one more thing. Again, I'm just going to group all of this content that isn't the carousel, just so we have consistency. Go back to design. That's fixed. Heart icon should be fixed. Back arrow is fixed. Image dots are fixed. And then everything else should scroll. Let's see. Is that working? Nope. We also need the image carousel to be fixed too. There we go. And then I also am going to go to my symbols panel down here, and I'm going to bring in my navigation bar that I made, which should be this one. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but XD has this really cool blue line down here that indicates where the bottom of the phone would end. And so it's a really good guideline for showing you where things should be aligned.
Yeah, kind of the above the fold.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's try to test the entire flow. So we have our content that, whoops, gotta make this fixed. There we go. We have our content that scrolls down here. We can go through our carousel animation and then open our
Awesome.
light box, go back to the beginning.
It's like it's a real app now.
Yeah, it's like a real app.
There's a quick question about when your design is completed, do you usually send files to Zipline, or do you have another method of giving them to the developer?
We usually just use like a prototyping software, or
Nice.
I guess something similar to like InVision or Marvel. And we also, before we hand off designs, we have like internal meetings, like a handoff meeting, so that we
Okay,
can,
cool.
you know, exchange notes and
Yeah.
ask questions and make sure everything is really clear. So
Awesome. That
really
sounds like
helpful.
a super smooth process.
We try to make it smooth as we can. Okay, so that was fun. Next, I want to do this sort of like, how do I describe it? I want this image here on the breed detail page, or the breed guide page, to transition from being here up to here, if that makes sense, to kind of grow and fill that space.
Totally.
Oh, and if you guys look in the chat, Olivia just posted King Stewart's Instagram, so
nice.
you can go and see his
Someone
other
asked
photos.
her if he is for sale. She said not for sale, but he is for rent for the right price. I wonder how Stewart feels about being rented.
He has no say in this. Okay, so as far as the way that the layer should be laid out, let's dive into the layers panel. So I have the breed guide information is in a separate group up here. So you can see there's like an overlay and all the content on top is sort of overlaid, and then this image is separate. Basically, what I want to happen is, again, for this to grow and transition. So I'm gonna delete this lab image here, and I'm gonna copy this one just so it's the exact same one. And I'm gonna paste it in there, and I'm gonna make it fill the space the way that I want it to. And then for some more fun, let's kind of move him over into the center like that.
Nice.
And then we'll send this to the very back.
Not to go back on you, but there's a good comment that you could add the dots to the full view of the picture as well to show that you could slide through
Oh
there.
yeah, that is a good idea.
If we have extra time, that'd be a nice thing to add.
That's a good idea. Excuse me. Okay, so if we were to go back to the prototyping tab and add auto animate between these two features, it'll work, but you notice that it needs to be edited just a little bit more, but I'll demonstrate kind of what it'll look like in the beginning. So let's go to this page. So you can see it kind of works, but it's a little clunky because that front content doesn't really know where it's supposed to transition from. So what we'll need to do is make sure that this content over here is also present on this first original artboard.
Makes sense.
I'm going to just basically grab all of this. Let's zoom out. There's like a random line in here. 1 second. Don't know what that's doing there. Okay.
It's a good eye to spot that. Wow.
All about the details. Okay, so I'm grabbing all of this content and grouping it just so it's a little easier to maneuver, renaming it content in my layers. And then I'm just gonna copy this and paste it over on this side, but have it be kind of down at the very bottom.
Right.
And so then that way when we're transitioning, it'll know to slide up when we use auto animate.
Totally makes sense.
So let's demonstrate that again. There we go. So it grows into that. And then we could do the same thing as far as like what we did with Stewart's image. We could do more images transitioning over. We could do another light box sort of thing. I won't demonstrate that again, obviously, because we've already seen it, but yeah, those are all kind of fun things that we could do.
Very nice.
Thanks. I'm gonna go back on here and I'm going to make sure that I'm adding my navigation bar down here. Let me know in the chat if you guys have other things that you might want to see, because I'm kind of going a little fast here and I might come to the end of all my interactions that I have planned. So if there's other things that you guys are interested in seeing or kind of have me experiment with, let me know.
Just let us know.
We can just look at dog pictures for an hour if we need to. Like, I'm okay with that.
I'm sure. It seems like everybody would be fine with that, honestly. Go to Stewart's Instagram.
So I'm adding the nav bar here. Add another one here. Make sure that's all lined up. Make sure that's fixed. Okay, let's demonstrate that again in case anyone missed it. So we have our content that scrolls. We have our nav bar that's fixed on at the bottom, and then we can transition just like that. And then I need to make this content fixed also. So lab image fixed position, that's fixed position, that can scroll, that can stay. Yep, so here we go.
Very nice.
And then, let's see, maybe add another trigger here to this back arrow, if it'll let me.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Status bar, back arrow. We can transition back this way and use auto animate. It should shrink back down to the size that it should be.
Caitlin made a good suggestion. If we have extra time, we could actually try to put this in, but she said it'd be cool if there was a way for people who have found their dogs through the app to upload progress/success stories with their cute dogs.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I would have to design it obviously, but
Right,
that sounds
right.
fun. Okay, so we have that. And then another thing that we could do is the saved transition. So let me go ahead and set up my file as far as like the fixed content, my navigation real quick. So this would be the saved navigation.
Eric said he doesn't like dogs, and yesterday he said he doesn't like cats.
What?
So
What do you like, Eric? If you don't
likes
like
design,
dogs,
that's it.
oh well. We all like design, right? Let's hide this for a second. Okay.
Caitlin said her suggestion was just to get more dog pics.
Not a bad thing.
Smooth. Very nice. See, Eric even said, I like design.
That's funny.
I had a feeling he would say that.
Let's see. I actually have an old pattern from a different design in here, so let me replace that real quick. Hero search background pattern. Okay. So I have my nav bar. Put it over here too. Oh. There we go. Then the only thing that's going to be fixed over here would be this status bar, which is already fixed, and then yep, those are already done. Okay, so we have this content, which is your saved dogs, and then we have saved breeds, which isn't scrolling for some reason. Not sure
Maybe
why.
it's not long. Oh, it's because the artboard.
Oh, because yeah,
isn't
because the
long
artboard is short. That makes
enough.
sense.
You'd have to extend it, right?
Okay, so what I want to do is show sort of an animation between this tab bar up here. So
Oh, yeah.
basically, I'm just gonna duplicate this artboard and call it saved dogs. Let's call it saved breeds instead.
Tim made a good comment. We will not be here tomorrow. This is our last stream, so if you have any design-related questions whatsoever, definitely drop them in the chat.
Yep. My last day here.
Your last chance. Come on.
This is a pretty simple one. I just basically changed the opacity between the two states, and then I moved that little tab bar over. So if we go to prototype, let's do...
Speaking of question, we got one for the 8-pixel grid. You could just read that if you'd like.
Question says, with the 8-pixel grid, is the concept basically that you can use any spacing as long as it's an 8-pixel increments? Yeah, I would say that's basically the concept. I think it just, for me personally, it helps me to stay a bit more organized as far as like the margins and the spacing that I'm using between elements. And so pretty much everything that I do which I don't know if it's really been demonstrated on this stream because I'm going kind of fast, but in general, it would be an increment of 8, so either 16, 24, or 32 pixels between elements and stuff like that.
Makes sense. Yeah, and if you want to stay organized, definitely follow her advice. She knows what she's talking about.
So let's just have this, let's see, it's going to be moving to the left. So if I prototype this, so that's kind of like, sometimes it helps to, instead of diving all the way in, kind of helps to sort of do the animations or the prototyping in steps so that you don't, miss your spot. And like if you make a mistake, you can, fix it a little bit easier instead of having to undo everything and start completely from scratch. So that's usually what I do. So I just demonstrated kind of like showing that the other content transitioning off the artboard sort of. And then I want to have this content, which I need to group.
Oh, you got an interesting comment from, me. What'd you look at that?
Oh. What is my favorite typeface right now? Okay, you guys don't hate me. I really don't.
Oh, Lord.
Typography is not my favorite thing about design. I'm much more interested in like illustration and animation and like that sort of stuff.
Makes sense.
So as far as my favorite typeface, the one that I use a lot for my personal branding is called Peppy Bold.
Oh, cool.
I don't know the foundry that makes it, but I've been using that for about a year and a half now, and it's really fun. It's pretty simple sans serif, but it's cute to me, so I
Love
like
it. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm more of a typography designer. Like
really?
with my web design and stuff, I really focus on that.
Yeah.
To where you're more of the animation and cool stuff like that.
Just there's so many facets to design that it can be hard to,
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't get, be an expert on every single part of it, but
There's the comment. Good question. You should be a host on Adobe Live toward my chat.
Okay, so now I'm copying in this breed grid, and I'm pasting it there. So this is going to be behind the content that just transitioned out. And since we want this to come in from the left, we need to also copy it onto, or from the right, I should say. We need to copy it onto this artboard and move it off to the side like this.
See you later, Felix. Thanks for joining us. Hope you can come back later.
Be sure to watch the replay.
Yeah, and you can always watch the replay on Behance or on YouTube on the Creative Cloud channel.
Okay, so I'm moving this off to the side, and I'm just going to drop the opacity down, and it can sort of like fade in as it comes in so that we don't see it over here.
Someone's wondering how you make it scroll. It's actually super simple, right? All you have to do is make a long artboard and fill it with content.
Let's make this. I think there's like a setting on the side, like because the program knows the vertical height, like the viewport space is right here. So it knows that the 667 is how much space that you should see at one time, and then anything that extends beyond that will be
Makes sense.
scrollable content. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Someone also asked, can you make the navbar roll down when you scroll?
I'm sure there is a
you
way
can,
to
but
do it,
I don't know why you would want to exactly.
I think that is a pretty common pattern, like, if you're on Safari on your iPhone.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay,
It kind of
that
gets out of
makes
the way when
sense.
you don't need it. I was actually wondering about that because that's something that I would want to do. It makes sense for certain pages, but I haven't played around with it enough to actually figure out how to make that happen.
I'm sure you can figure it out if you tried.
Okay, so we have links here. Let's link. So if you tap breeds, it'll go to this page. If you tap dogs, it'll go back to this page, and the content will sort of like shift in and out. So let's see if I hooked everything up correctly. Here you go.
Kevin Lee in the chat saying, can I just have all these dogs, please?
Yes, you can. Just for
looks
you.
like you'll have to download the app and select all of them.
Once it's actually a thing, then we can adopt all these dogs. These dogs are all, most of these other ones that are kind of more staged, these are all from Adobe stock. So if you want more dog pictures, make sure you check out that site.
Caitlin asks, how do you plan out an animation?
Should I show my notebook again?
Yeah,
maybe?
if you want, go ahead.
And Caitlin, you might have missed the beginning. Let's get the GoPro going if we can. So I like to have written out, drawn out animation plans. So usually these kind of ideas come to me when I'm like trying to sleep, which is really annoying. I'll get an idea for like, oh, that'll be cool. And so I'll have to wake up at night, or like I'll be in the middle of eating lunch or something at work and I'll have to like write it down real quick. So I like to basically either show one or two states of kind of how things transition. And so like this is an example of that first one that we did as far as like transitioning the quiz cards. This is like the photo swipe that we demonstrated with King Stewart's pictures. And then this one down here represents kind of the one that we're working on right now. So.
Nice.
Oh, and then also we did the light box too. So that's what this one is.
Awesome.
Oh, and then this one's the breed guide, yeah. So we've done pretty much all of the ones that
that you sketched out.
I sketched out. I think I only have like one or two more that I could do. But I think, again, there's a ton of stuff that we could put.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone loves the notebook.
Oh, thank you guys. Oh, one other thing. Can we go back to the GoPro? I wanted to share this with you guys. As far as the notebook goes, so this is like a Moleskine dot grid, like I said. And then these are the supplies that I use. I use these Papermate flare pens. So I have a black one, a red one, and then these are mild liner highlighters. This one's really cool because it's actually like gray. Because I don't like things that are too bright.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's like just enough to like add emphasis, but not too heavy. And then I also use whiteout little thing.
Nice.
Keeps it clean. So.
Awesome. There was a couple questions during that, but you pretty much answered all of them through showing it. So.
Yep. And I do the bullet journaling system, like I mentioned the past 2 days. So. If you don't know what that is, definitely look it up on YouTube. There's a ton of videos out there about bullet journaling and using these kind of notebooks. So.
Awesome. Someone said that the app needs an adopt all button. Then are you sure after this?
Yeah. Can you afford this? Because that's a lot of money.
Like, this will cost $2 million. Exactly. Are you sure you want to do this?
Do you ever want to retire?
Do you want to be a professional dog trainer?
I do. Okay. I'm gonna go through and do some linking of these nav items down here. So back to prototype. Let's group. I'm gonna link this icon all the way to the breed guide. That's gonna be a tap, transition, and then slide to the right. Then I'll link home. It's gonna be kind of hard to do, it's kind of far away. Let's see. Home goes all the way over here. Another slide right. Let's do saved. This is like one of my favorite parts of the design process because when I'm doing a design I'm excited about, I tend to like to look at it on my phone and sort of like kind of let it simmer in my mind and kind of think about things that I can add and how I can improve it. So getting it all hooked up like a real app really helps me to sort of get a sense of how it works and how I can improve it. So.
And it's a huge plus for handing out to developers as well, because you can show exactly the flow you were thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of trying to explain it on paper or whatever.
Yeah. Slide right. Let's see. I think these are all hooked up. Home, all the way over here. Slide right. And
There's a good question if you can link the same icon on different artboards at once.
That I don't know the answer to. I know what you mean though. Basically taking like a symbol and having the symbol link across all the artboards. I don't know if you can do that, but that's definitely something that would be useful for me because it'll save time.
I'm not
obviously.
sure either, actually.
That's a good question. We should find out the answer. So the breed guide goes over here. Slide right. Let's add these to here. Just make sure everything's hooked up the way it should be.
Alexandria asked, how do you find a developer to make your app work?
Me personally, I've never actually had to do that. I work with a team of developers, and so in my day job, it's more of we're building apps for clients. I don't personally build apps for people at this point in my career, but I think it's just all about kind of networking and finding out who's available. I'm sure there's a ton of like freelance developers that would love to work on fun projects like this. So
yeah, I team up with them all the time because I am a freelance designer. So how I usually get them is I just make connections throughout the years, a lot from Twitter actually.
Oh, really?
And kind of become friends with them, and they're kind of my go-to developers after that.
Yeah, that works.
Then they always know good developers if they're not available too. So like you said, I would say networking is the best way.
Yeah, definitely. I think design in general, even though there's a ton of us, it ends up being a pretty small community because we all go to the same places.
Yeah,
we all are on the same websites. So
somebody that everybody else knows.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always some type of connection. So I was just looking up the objects linking to multiple artboards. Looks like it's a request on user voice. There's only 2 votes on it, so it's not highly wanted at the moment.
Oh, we need that.
So if you want it, definitely jump over to user voice and upvote that.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna test this and see if I've hooked everything up the way it needs to be. Read guide. Oop. Oh. Set this over here. Then saved. You can hook it up to the saved portion. There. Okay, so read guide, transition, back. This one needs to be added. Saved here. This should slide to the left. Okay, let me test this out one more time. Or hook this up to this. Slide left, okay.
Jay asked if it's better to finish the whole design before you start linking in prototypes, basically.
I don't know. I like to do it as I go because that way I can kind of get a sense of if I've missed a page or if there's gaps in the design that need to be sorted out.
That's smart, yeah.
Yeah, so I like to do it as I go, and then once I get everything done, I'll link everything up and try to find and see if there's anywhere that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. It can also help so you don't forget any little flows that you wanted to add if you get it done right when you're designing it.
Yep. Okay, so that's what I'm basically doing now. Like I'm sort of going through and looking at this. So I guess from here we'll need a way to get back to that listing page. Let's add that here. Yep. Show that again.
Got a question about extra spacing in text. He said, sometimes text has extra space within the text area compared to others. How do you fix that? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that.
I think it's referring to sometimes you can have extra like line height in a text box.
Oh, okay.
So the way I usually handle that is, so I think like this is a good example. Sometimes you'll have this set to this, what is this called? Like
I'm not sure what it's called, but
area text versus point text. So if you have area text, you might have all this extra space down here like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's totally what he means.
So usually I'll either set it to area text, or if it is, or I'll set it to point text, or I'll set it to area text, and then make sure that I'm actually like,
all I have to do is drag it, right?
Yeah, lining it up to the grid where it needs to be at.
Yep, perfect. Someone said designing an app like this really only took you 3 days.
I mean,
well, if you think about the research and then the planning.
Yeah, there was research. So I don't know if you guys caught the stream a couple of days ago, but I actually sent out a survey to some friends in my network maybe like 2 weeks before I came here, and I asked some questions about, you know, what kind of things do you consider when you're adopting a dog? how much time do you have, like things like that, just to kind of validate my idea for the app. Again, like I don't have a ton of experience with user research, but I wanted to sort of use this opportunity to start getting into that field and reading more about UX practices and testing and stuff like that. So I did that, and then I did design the whole app wires and design at home before coming here. And so basically what I'm doing now is just rebuilding everything that I built 2 weeks ago. So it looks like a quick process here, but it's because I've already done everything.
And then you have to add in your experience as well is also definitely helping.
Yeah, I've been
with how fast it can be done.
doing web design sort of stuff like this for the last maybe 4 or 5 years since college. So, you know, it all comes with experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's one other interaction I can do, and I was kind of saving this one because it can be a little complicated sometimes, but I want to do this breed match sort of like swipe thing, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna kind of demonstrate it in isolation down here. So basically what I want to happen is I want this card, when it transitions, I want it to transition off this way, but also rotate like -10 degrees. And so it'll have this fun like transition as it goes off, kind of rotated that way. But first what I need to do is create a couple more cards. I'll just create a second one. So I'm holding down Alt and clicking and dragging on my keyboard, holding Shift at the same time too to duplicate this card. And I'm just gonna change this breed to be Golden Retriever instead. Center that. I'm just gonna leave all the same copy here and then just add another cute image.
And Tim's just pointing out 22 minutes left for the portfolio submissions. Just all you have to do is hit the tab above the chat and you can submit your Behance portfolio to us and we will check it out on stream. And it doesn't matter what level of designer you are either. You can do beginner to advanced, whatever it is, definitely submit it. It'd be really awesome to check it out.
Yep. Okay, so we have 2 cards. Like that, someone said, you're welcome, Edna. Yeah, definitely being prepped is key to having speed. I see Chris is saying that in the chat. I'm glad that you're enjoying it so far, thank you. Okay, so we have 2 cards here. And you can kind of see that this one in the background it's given the illusion of it being further back, so it's gonna need to be smaller. So I'm just going to basically make sure that this height and width is constrained using this lock here on the side. I'm gonna just type in -16, which you can do math in these boxes there. I don't know if you guys know that, but I just wanna make it a little bit smaller, and then I'm gonna place it behind this card.
Jed asks, do you wire everything all together in one large app or present separate interactions as separate pieces?
Do you mean as far as like exporting the interactions separately, or?
I think he kind of means like presenting to developers, I guess. So he does say present.
Well, the way, I may not answer your question, but I'll try to. The way that we do it at my job is that we do the design, we do the wires and design, and we present those to the client, and then also we tend to do screencasts, so we'll actually use QuickTime or something like that on our computers, and we'll record ourselves interacting with the app, and so that is a point where I might demonstrate some of the interactions, and then we package that up and we send that over to our clients. So that way, that method is really good because clients can get a sense of not only what you're thinking, because you can talk to them and walk them through the app, but they can sort of see how it's intended to work as opposed to trying to figure it out themselves. Because sometimes if you just send them a link to here's a prototype, like they don't really know what it is, what they're looking at. So you kind of have to use that to your advantage and kind of guide them through your decision-making process.
Totally, yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so I made the 2 cards, and I've overlapped one over the other. So I'm just gonna delete these ones for now. And again, make sure that you rename them. So this is card 1, and then behind it, it's gonna be card 2. I'm gonna grab both of those and put that here. center to the artboard, center. And then we'll duplicate this artboard. And like I mentioned, I want this this card to swipe over to the side and then also rotate as it's doing it. So I'm going to do this, just drag it over, make it -10 degrees, and then also have it kind of go down as it moves off. Drag it to the
It's gonna look real good.
Like that.
It's a great idea.
Thank you. And then as that one is moving, we want this one to grow to be the normal size that it should be. So I'm gonna bring this back up to 328, which is what it was before. And I think this was, let's see how many pixels. This is about 96 pixels from the top, so let's make sure that's lined up just for consistency. Yep, 96. And then center it that way. And then I'm also, just so that you don't see this little corner, just gonna have it, well, actually no, I don't wanna fade it out. Let's leave it the way it is and see what happens. Okay, so now hopping over to the prototype tab. When this link is, or when this card is swiped or dragged, let's see if it works. Because last night it wasn't really working for me, but let's see. I'm gonna use ease in and out. Let's test that. Yep, there we go.
Oh,
That
so
worked.
nice.
One more
Great.
time. So, just like that.
Looks so good.
Thank you. I kind of want the timing to be a little, oh, no, you can't do timing on that one, never mind.
Oh, yeah.
If it was a tap, you could control the timing, so it could be 0.3 seconds. It's a little snappier
that way
there.
it feels nice and smooth.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then also, don't be afraid to play around with the easings, guys. Like, sometimes I'll just go through every single one and test every one.
Yeah, you never
See
know
what
which
it
one
looks
you're gonna
like.
like the best.
That one I don't like as much, but
Yeah,
it's still cool.
Exactly.
And then let's try a wind up. See, that kind of like, kind of goes off to the side and
Yeah.
goes over real quick, so that's kind of fun too, but I'm gonna just use a simple ease in and out. And then also, let's grab this and bring it off to the side all the way. There you go. Yeah, so that's fun. And then what you could also do with this one is maybe there's another card behind this second one that moved up, and so as you're transitioning to there, so let me demonstrate that. I'll just make another container and call it card 3.
There's a question if you could switch between design and prototype with a shortcut, and there is. It's just Control Tab.
Oh, good to
Switch
know.
between both.
Good. Let's go back to design. Let's do another -16 here. I'm just adding a third card back here. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna center this. So that's card 3. Copy this one. Place that behind card 2. So then we can have card 3 sort of. Is that what we want to do? Actually, let's have it be up. And then it'll come down maybe. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it's kind of quick when it happens, but you can see that as that first card is moving over to the side, the third one is coming and dropping down behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. And that
Looks
way you
great.
kind of can make a looping action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Tim said if you're not, does that keyboard shortcut work on Mac? Because for me, when I do is it Command Tab you said, or Control Tab?
Control Tab.
Oh, Control, okay, never mind. I was
Yeah.
gonna say Command Tab
Command
goes
will
between.
open your Mac switcher.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Control Tab will work.
Yep.
Okay, so we have that interaction, and then I'm just going to link from this X up here to the home page. We'll do tap is correct, do a transition, and just do a slide left. That'll work, yeah. Okay, so tap that, and then close out. It goes to the home page.
Very nice.
And then also the other part of this is that since you're being suggested these breeds, you also might want to learn about them too. So let's make a transition between this page and the actual like breed detail page. Let's pretend this is the golden retriever over here. So if they tap that, it'll slide out to the left and take you to that page.
And we're down to about 13 minutes until the portfolio submission deadline. So just hit the tab above chat and submit your portfolio. We'd love to check it out here in just a few minutes.
It's like that to the home page. And you guys, like I mentioned, you'll notice that as you are kind of like building out this stuff and you're testing, you'll notice that some links might not be hooked up the way they should be, and you can just go in really quick and add those to get a seamless flow. Right. Let's do that one more time. We have our card. Learn more. See that? Go back to the breed guide. Go back home.
That feels super smooth. Nice.
Crystal says, what are we talking about? Is that a question about what we're building, or?
Yeah, I think she just joined in. She said, hey, just a second ago.
Okay. Yeah, so Crystal, we're building a dog adoption app in Adobe XD for helping you be matched with dogs in your local area based on a personality quiz. And right now I'm just demonstrating some fun interactive prototyping things that you can do with XD.
Awesome. I'd love to see a zoom out version of all the artboards we have now. I always love seeing that.
There's a lot.
All in 3 days.
Yeah. Some of these
Very
are
nice.
duplicates, but
Right, yeah.
we have our wires up here that we did. People sometimes ask me about the difference between like high fidelity wires and low fidelity. I find that with me, I don't know if you guys have already commented, but since I can go pretty fast, my wires tend to be a little bit more high fidelity than other people's might be, just because I'm not spending too much time because of the speed that I can work with. But
point, yeah.
Sometimes I'm actually making small design decisions that I know won't be too much of an impact. I'll make those decisions during design or during the wireframe phase. So
Makes sense, yeah.
a lot of the times my wires will look like what the design ends up being.
Marty says this is his first time watching live on Behance. So happy you're here.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Let's see, how much longer do we have for portfolios? I'm excited for that.
10 minutes till the submission deadline.
Okay. Add this background image here.
Got a question if it's possible to copy an artboard and keep the transition effect.
That I do not know the answer to. Can I test it out maybe?
Yeah, let's test it out.
1 second, let me finish this. So we're gonna try to copy an artboard and see what happens.
I'm guessing it doesn't because it wouldn't really make sense for it to.
Yeah, I don't think it does. It's like if I were to copy this one. Let's copy this one. It looks like it did.
Oh, it does, yeah.
It keeps the same.
So yeah, it does keep it all the same.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
So I
it's
guess you
like
could
your
change
button.
some of the content that's not linked, but if you were
Right.
to change some of these links, it might get a little weird, but
Also, you might want to try doing it in design mode and then switching and see if that makes a
Okay.
difference.
Yeah,
Since you
let's-
did it in prototype mode, maybe it keeps it.
in design mode, I copied that one, and then I'm switching to prototype
Right.
mode. Yeah, so it's not there. If you do
Okay,
it in
cool.
prototype mode,
Makes
it stays.
sense. Good to know.
That'll save you some time. Let's make this artboard shorter. Or not.
Yeah, and Tim confirmed it in the chat. You have to be in prototype mode to do so.
That's good to know.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's see what else we can do. Maybe, since I'm kind of done with prototyping, I can maybe start demonstrating how I would put together a style guide. I know I kind of touched on that
absolutely.
on the first day. Okay, so bonus content, guys. Building out a style guide. So I generally would start with colors and typography. So I'm just gonna make a new artboard here. And I'll just copy in, or actually draw in some rectangles to be my colors. And then I've already saved my color palette to this assets panel over here, so it's really easy to come in and...
Do you want to show how to save colors in there really quick for people that don't know?
Definitely. So say you have a different color. Something that's purple. Why not? You simply just select your shape that has the color that you want to save, and you click this plus sign up here, and it adds it. Super simple.
Super easy.
Mm-hmm. And I like how it displays the hex values, because I use those a lot when I'm designing, so it automatically will show the hex value in the menu item there, but you can also double click and rename. So if you wanted to actually add like a color name or a hue name to it and then have your hex value or something else, whatever you want, you can also do that. So it's really easy to use.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when I'm building out my style guides, I like to start with color. So I'll click and drag, add all my colors. Let's do green, red, that.
Tim also pointed out when you share the dev link, the developers will be able to see all the colors you have
Nice.
that you add to that panel as well.
That's really helpful. Yeah, having to search through every page of a design to pull out all the unique colors can be really, really daunting for devs, so that's a good feature to have. So I mentioned on the stream on Monday that when I'm making like color palettes or like tints and shades of a color, I'll just, at a very basic level, I'll start with just a dark version of a color and a light version. So I'll duplicate this color again, and then I'll also draw a rectangle on top, and I'll make this one pure black, but I'll lower the opacity to maybe like 50%. And then on this one, I'll make a rectangle and I'll duplicate or lower the opacity to 50%, but make it white. So that way you can kind of see that there's like a dark version of the color here and a light version. And then I will just sample this here and recolor those boxes and get rid of those overlays. So now we have like a tint and shade of this base color.
You have all the shades you need.
Yeah. And then I like to include like a name, so I'll call the base color teal_base. And then I'll also include the hex value, just so that when I'm handing it off to the devs, they have that easily accessible for them. And then for the dark and light ones, I'll just call these ones teal dark. And I'll copy that hex value. And this one would be teal light.
There's just under 5 minutes left to submit your portfolio. We'd love to check it out, so just hit that tab above the chat and submit your Behance profile.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like building out a color guide. So I would repeat that with all of the colors within my app.
Yeah.
And then as I'm making decisions about like the light and dark options, I'll also add those to my my panel over here. So let's go ahead and add those. Kind of like to reposition everything so it's grouped together the way it should be, the way that makes sense. And then over here, I mentioned that you can rename these, so this is where it's a good idea to sort of like show that there. Oh, I think I just, oops, there we go. Let's rename this one teal white. This one is teal dark. And then this is just teal base.
That's a super easy way to manage your colors. Love it.
So just imagine that I've done that with all these colors here. Sometimes I'll even go even lighter. So like I used a 50% white opacity over here. I might even drop it down to 25 for another version. And then for the dark, I'll drop it, or I'll bring it up to 75% and just have some more range in there. And then for typography, I like to just grab these colors or typefaces that I already have. It can be helpful for developers, at least in my experience, to sort of start naming the H1s, H2s. So I will add the suffix there, or the prefix there of H1 with the dash, and then I like to include obviously the font name, the font weight, and then the size that I'm using it at. So
yeah. There's a fun question. Is it possible to design something in XD that's hard and or impossible to code in practice? I think if you really want to, it's always possible, right?
I'd say.
You can do some crazy things.
Sometimes I'll also, if I'm doing really complex animations, like things that XD may not be able to handle, I'll do it in After Effects. This happens really often, that we'll have all these fun ideas at work for animations to do, and then when it comes time for the front end guys to actually build it out, they're kind of kicking themselves because it's like, oh, this looked cool in After Effects, but now I have to figure out how to actually make it happen.
That's when it can get very hard.
Yeah.
I think with the XD auto animate, pretty much anything you do with that it should be doable pretty easily. But definitely once you get into like After Effects and
once
stuff,
you're doing stuff in After Effects,
you can really make the developer hate you. Someone said they love the 50% black and white trick. Definitely going to use it.
Actually, let me go back to that, because there's actually a way to, I've developed sort of like a little cheat sheet, I like to call it. So let's pretend that this is 50%, or the base color. I'll actually duplicate this and do like tiny squares. So let's do black here. Let's do like 75%, like I said. Do another one that's 50%. Another one that's 25. And then let's switch this over to be white. Make this one 50%. And then this one's 75. So then if you make one of these for yourself, you can change this color to be whatever you want, and then it kind of keeps the same.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so then you can really like get that done super quick.
Nice trick.
Yeah.
He also asked, what courses do you recommend watching these kind of tricks?
To find these kind of tricks, these are all just things I've developed over.
Just by doing it.
Yeah, just by doing it, having to do it over and over again, and getting tired of having it be a long process. So I develop little tricks and stuff like that to.
Yeah, I would say watch more of these live streams.
Yeah.
There's tons of different people coming on. They can definitely show you these little tricks.
Designers all have different processes and different things that they bring to the table. So watching these streams and kind of seeing their tips and tricks and being like, oh yeah, that's something I could definitely use.
Exactly, yeah. And you
really
can always
cool.
watch replays too on the YouTube channel and on Behance. So tons of valuable information just waiting for you to find.
And then another another trick that helps is that, let me add to this. So I'm sure you guys can you already know this, but sometimes when you have yellow, it's like a weird color.
Yeah.
It's kind of yellow. Like you don't want the yellow to, you don't want that to be your dark version of the yellow shade. Yeah. So one thing that one of my coworkers taught me, he actually was a painting major, and when he was in college, whenever you're painting and you need like a shade of yellow, instead of using pure black, use a shade that's more similar to I think they call it burnt umber. So it's kind of like a rusty orange color. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
This is not it exactly, but let's do 50%. Something like that. So that looks a lot more,
that works great.
More like a shade of yellow
That's a nice trick.
So then I'll add that there.
Very nice.
Just in case. So then no matter what color you're using, you have that burnt umber sort of shade too to build.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a great trick. And during that, we did hit the deadline. So if you haven't submitted, don't worry. There's another stream after us. You can submit then, and they'll be happy to check it out as well. Josh said you take the spot for the best Adobe live streamer designer so far.
Thank you so much.
That's a great honor.
Thank you. Did I get a trophy?
Where's my trophy?
Is there prize money? My mom is in the studio again, and she's over on the side laughing, so I do it all for her. Okay, so back to typography. I'll do the dark version, and then sometimes, obviously, you might have things that are on darker backgrounds, so I'll do like an overlay, dark background here, just like a dark color, and then copy the same stuff here, but make it white. Like that. And this is not always for the developer. Sometimes this is just for helping you build out your own character styles. So having a dark and a white version is always good. And you can see here that I have 2 versions of everything there.
Nice. Well, I think we're ready to dive into the portfolio reviews. Yeah. We have a couple to check out. But first, we have to launch into space to get there.
Oh, right.
So here we go. We are here. We made it to the station. Whoa. Good to go. I think we have oxygen now, so
a little bit.
We can get out of our helmets.
That was fun.
All right, so we have 2 portfolios to check out up here in the space station. First one is from New York, New York.
Ooh, one of my favorite cities.
Got a couple nice ones here. Does any sound to you that you want to check out? Any specific project?
Let's look at the second one, Hockey World.
Perfect.
Looks fun.
Let that load up. Oh, some nice animation. That looks great.
I love animation, you know it.
Oh, I see what they did here. So it's like you're pretty much seeing the full thing. That's
okay,
nice.
Cool.
About project.
Nice.
Online only store for everything hockey. Cool. Really nice presentation work.
Super great layout.
I love the typography too.
And this is kind of what I touched on yesterday as far as showing the interactions in your or in a case study.
Valuable.
Yeah, it's very valuable because it's an interactive field and being able to see how those things will work.
Just look here, like, yeah, that looks awesome, but you have no idea how it works.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
And then you scroll down, and there you go.
It's just like another dimension. So this is awesome. Great job.
Very nice. Nice logo animation too. Nice touch. Showing more of the full store. Looks great.
Yeah, I might have to have you on next.
Yeah, seriously. It's actually pretty similar to my design style, so I really like it.
Yeah. I know you guys do like a lot of dark interfaces, right?
Yeah. And it's super in-depth project as well. A lot of photos in here, a lot of nice text descriptions.
Yeah. Oh, more interactions.
Like even describing the shopping cart experience. One of the main goals was simple UI. Shopping cart, and you choose items to delete, change quality. Very nice.
Looks great.
Do you have any feedback, like for improvements? I mean, it's hard to kind of
Feedback for
for
improvement.
that.
No, I think everything is really solid. Like maybe as far as the presentation, the type is a little bit small.
Yeah, like you see, I had to zoom in there.
Yeah, you had to zoom in to see
Maybe
what it
increase
says.
that for sure.
The
Make it
layout,
easier.
the color, the styling, everything else is A+, I'd say. So.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Definitely deserve a like and follow. We can move on to our second one. This one is from Morocco.
Morocco.
Very nice.
Okay.
So you got a few projects in here. Does any stand out to you?
What about that first one? I like the red. The
Oh,
pop
that does
red.
look good. Oh, very nice presentation. Again, it's actually
Again.
pretty similar.
Yeah, you
it's very
guys
nice.
are killing it. Look at this.
You guys need a collab.
Yeah.
It's luxury tea experience. So it's a
Fun.
tea company. Again, I'd say this text is a little small to read, especially
Yeah.
with this font. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to read.
Especially the font and then the contrast between the white
Right.
or the dark and the light. Gotta.
It looks
bring
great.
that- Yeah, it looks
hard
awesome.
to read.
We can't read it. It can only go so far.
Oh, I like this touch. Show off the typography
Oh,
as well
fun.
and
Yeah,
the
that's a
color
good
palette.
presentation.
Very cool. So this is like the home page. Very
Nice
clean.
layout.
Nice little elements there.
Very professional.
Yeah, it looks great. So this would be like your menu. Very cool.
Yeah, I think this is one that would benefit. Like
Store.
if you did want to experiment with XD and get into like the prototyping and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. This
I
would
don't
be
know
a
if
fun
maybe
one.
there's some lower down. I might
Yeah.
be speaking too soon, but seeing some of those interactions would be awesome because I'm sure you could do some fun stuff with these different elements that you have going on the page.
Yeah, I love the pop-up search. Looks nice. I think the red was a great choice just to kind of contrast for your,
Yeah.
your call to action
It's
buttons.
a good CTA color.
Nice thinking there. Oh, then we got the mobile version.
Oh, it's always good to see.
Always good to show both in your presentation as well.
Yeah. You have to solve some complex problems when you're designing on a smaller screen.
Exactly,
So
and
seeing
then,
that in a
like,
portfolio is awesome.
And you see how great the desktop version is. Like, how are you going to make that work on mobile?
Yeah,
you have no
exactly.
idea if you
Yeah.
don't show it. Oops. Yeah, very clean.
Oh, see it live.
Oh yeah, we can check it
Yeah.
out live. That's
Oh.
always nice.
Will it work?
It's up.
Oh, yeah, there's some cool stuff going on there.
Oh yeah.
Did you build the site too?
Some nice- yeah, I would love to know if you're the
Yeah.
developer as well. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a super smooth site too.
really cool.
Very nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love
great
it.
work in Morocco, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Again, this one's pretty hard to critique. I mean, just like the text size was the only thing really that stood out to me for the presentation, but
Yeah.
it looked fine on the site. The sizing was good. Great work.
Yeah,
Love it.
Good job, guys.
Definitely another follow right there. All right, we can jump back over to you now.
Cool.
So those are the two we had. And if you didn't get yours submitted, there's another stream right after us with Jermaine, so definitely submit then. We'd be happy to check it out.
Yeah. Okay, so I was demonstrating my color cheater thingy pick thing, color picker thing. Got some typography going, and then let's see. I can also show maybe like how a button would be laid out. This is also something I would include, like having all these navigation items there, showing kind of how that would look, the different active
Yeah.
states. And of course, this will be organized a little bit better, but I'm just kind of
Right, yeah.
shooting from the hip here, so.
Jonathan asks, what's in your experience, the best way to make interactive screens for your portfolio?
Making interactive screens.
So kind of like how we were scrolling through that, then there was some animation in it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Behance, I personally like to use GIFs. So
Great
I will
option.
do my interactions in whatever program. So if it's XD, I think you can actually record in XD, right? Record your screen.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'll make a recording of that, and I'll bring it into Photoshop and use that to export a GIF. Depending on the platform, though I know that some other platforms actually do support video uploads. So it
Yeah.
sort of depends on what you're going to be.
Behance is great too because you can upload so many different types of files and kind of combine them together.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
I use Photoshop a lot for that. You can create a lot of cool things in there for your presentation. And I'm sure those guys do something similar, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we have navigation, typography, and then let's drag in a button. So when I'm laying out a style guide for buttons, I will generally bring all the button types in. So we have our start, inactive, and I'll rename this button to be what it actually is. So like, this is our inactive
Makes sense.
button. This is our active button. And then let's pretend that I have a third one that's like in between. So if this was like a desktop app where you actually have the ability to hover, I might add like a, let's see, I don't know, like a darker line maybe.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a cursor right now, but I'll add like a little cursor icon, like the little hand that comes up when you hover on a link. I'll put that like right here, just so that it kind of drives it home more.
It's a great touch, yeah.
And then this is would be a hover.
Love how you use the button text to title it as well, so you don't have to waste your time adding more text over it or whatever.
So that would be a button. Then there's that. Let's see, what else would I pull out from here?
And we only have about 15 minutes left in the stream, so if you guys have any extra questions, definitely shoot them in. This is our last day today. But of course, there's another stream after us, but for us, today is our last day. So definitely throw those in if you have any questions whatsoever, whether it's about XD or her process or anything.
Anything you guys want to know, I'm here to help if I can.
We'll do our best, Hannah.
Yeah. So when I'm handling icons, I will typically kind of lay them out in a single column like this. So let's just do a couple of them like that. And just here. And then I will take some text like this, and then I like to add a name next to it.
Yeah.
Because I think it, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys are developers in the chat, but I think it helps to have a name there already, because
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, half of the time developers spend is thinking of what to name things.
Plus you don't want them to just be sitting there like, okay, where is this supposed to go?
Yeah,
You want it to be very obvious.
So search, camera, let's call this camera 1, camera 2.
Another good reason to title them actually is if there needs to be some revisions or something, they can just tell you, oh, camera 2 needs this or that. So.
Strokes. And then I had mentioned in a previous stream that sometimes when you're naming these things, it's better to be more general and not as specific. So, so for example, with these buttons, I could have easily called this orange button, but instead I decided to call it active button instead of orange, because
it's depending on the point of it. Right?
Yeah, the point and the state of it. So if you were to send this to a client and they decide they don't like orange, you'd have to go back and change the color, and then you have a bunch of buttons that are titled orange button instead.
Exactly, yeah.
So being more general is better. So then, like with things like this, instead of saying, like for this one, it's meant to represent the temperament thing. So instead of saying smiley icon, I say temperament, because this icon might change.
Yeah.
So just kind of being general with everything that you do is a good thing to do.
I saw a comment saying that you didn't get your questions answered. So if we miss your questions, definitely don't feel bad to resubmit them, because it's easy to miss things on the chat. So definitely resubmit questions that aren't answered. But we do have a question from Josh. What's the first thing you should focus on when first learning to create your own custom illustrations? First learning to create your own custom.
So what worked for me was, I'm a big proponent of copying in a smart way. Like, don't copy and claim it to be your own, but find illustrators that you like, that inspire you, and really study their work, and kind of get a sense of how they do things, because I think that's the best way to learn. So for example, when I was learning, I didn't always do illustration. I started doing illustration when I was in college, but when I started doing it, I was really inspired by Justin and Mazel.
Nice, yeah.
People like that were doing
Just moved to Utah recently.
Yeah, just moved to yeah, where you're from. Exactly. Used to be in Orlando.
Yeah, nice.
So I would like study his work and like see how he worked with color and how he used shapes and things like that. And so I think that's probably the best way to start learning how to illustrate in general. And then as far as custom illustrations, once you sort of get down how to actually illustrate, then you can sort of start building on your own style.
Totally agree. And it goes beyond just illustration too, web design, app design, whatever it is.
Exactly.
I would just say, just be careful because you are copying to learn, though.
Don't post
but
it
don't
as
post
your
that
own.
on your portfolio saying this is your work. Right, that's the key there.
It can be cool.
It's a great way to learn little things.
Yeah.
But
I think it's interesting, or it's always fun when like if you are creating those illustrations, maybe sharing it with the designer or somebody personally, like finding them on Twitter and sending them a message maybe, but
and every designer is going to be happy to hear that you're inspired by their work.
Exactly.
So. Someone asked if all the icons are made in Illustrator.
Yes. I demonstrated yesterday too that you can actually open Illustrator files in XD. So I can do that here. If it works, maybe not. I think there's another question there.
Oh yeah. Any tips for someone that never attended design school, just learning graphic and UI UX and never had a mentor? Well, I'll let you answer first.
No, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I didn't go to school or anything for design. Early on I was taught by my grandfather some development stuff, but not really design, and I kind of realized that design was more for me from there, and I kind of just started doing it. I looked at awesome websites that I loved and started copying them exactly like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And kind of going from there. And learning online is so easy now. Like just YouTubing stuff. There's tons of free courses. Skillshare is a great website too. I just think there's so many different ways to start learning, but the number one is to just start doing it.
Yeah, just do it. And I would say I kind of had a similar experience when it comes to like web design and design in general. I mentioned on, I keep wanting to say Monday, on Tuesday, that my mom is a graphic designer, and actually my dad has a degree in computer science. So when I was growing up, I was kind of surrounded by both of those disciplines, and so that's kind of how I kind of met in the middle. Like I like design, but I design for web. So when I was younger, I would also try to code websites. So I would steal bits of code from, I would inspect Element, and steal like, oh, how do you make like a sliding carousel? I would like find one I liked and sort of dissect the code and ask my dad how to do stuff. So definitely just learn by doing, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really, that's the best way to do it. I don't know if you guys can see this now, but I did open my Illustrator file in XD. So these are the artboards that I used when I was creating.
100% from Illustrator?
Yep, 100%.
You can do the same thing with Photoshop as well. And even sketch files, actually.
Oh yeah, we learned that yesterday. I didn't know that. But yeah, you can copy these and paste them. So I could just copy this and paste it over here, and it's ready to go.
Yep.
So that's really helpful.
Marty asked if it's possible to connect the same element with a class, so when you change the color of the element, it will change everywhere. Yeah, there is a way to do that, actually.
That's basically what a symbol is,
Global
right?
colors, basically.
Global colors?
And then, you can create symbols, and whenever you change one part of a symbol, it'll change all of the symbols throughout your entire project.
Yep. So when you're saying global colors, are you referring to the ones that are saved?
Basically,
over here?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. So I think, if this button had this green applied, and then I were to go here and change it, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I double click it? Edit. So I could change the shade of the green.
Super easy.
Just change it everywhere. There we go. Okay, yeah, so I showed how I would lay out my icons, my buttons, my color, typography, making sure that you're including the different states of all your different sort of like navigation elements. Let's see, what else do we have? Including stuff like this, like the card styles, because developers can pull the shadow.
Oh yeah, that's an easy thing to
the
forget about as well.
Yeah. because these are both different. Like one of them has a general shadow, and then one of them has a shadow that's more pointing upwards. So
right.
those
And the
different
great thing
container
about
styles.
XD is you can actually see a lot of this without even having to create the boards that we're creating. So if you go to the share up in the top right of XD, there should be a dev link you can create,
Development. Yeah.
which is super cool, and it kind of takes everything that you've done into one page and lets you get all of the text sizes, the font, and whatever else there is. So it's a great feature as well.
That's awesome.
But we're down to our last 5 minutes already, so if there's any
Alrighty.
last minute questions, definitely drop them in. But do you want to quickly go through everything we've done over the last 3 days and
Yeah, for sure.
show off the app a bit?
My thing is spinning right now, but I would love to show you as soon as it's done.
I'd love to show you once my computer decides it
Once
wants
my computer
to show
decides it's not going to explode.
you. Explodes right before the end of the stream. Perfect.
At least it lasted 3 days, right? Or-
There's a great color while we're waiting. Or question about a color. How do you decide the best color for a project?
I don't know if there's ever really a best color. I decide on colors that I like. So I mentioned yesterday that when I was doing this, deciding on colors for this app, I kind of did some research about what is currently out in the marketplace in this same sort of like field.
Yeah.
So something that I found was a lot of apps were kind of green. There was a lot of blue, I think some purple. So kind of sticking on the cooler color side. So you have to make a decision as to whether or not you want your app to stand out or if you want it to sort of fit in with the others. So I decided that I wanted it to fit in. And I also just liked the color. I thought it was kind of fun, kind of
Yeah,
went with the
absolutely.
vibe of the app. So
It's always a great answer. I
Yeah.
just like the color.
yeah, I just like the color.
For me, the answer to that question is use black.
Yeah. That
We got
too.
a couple more questions after that. Does it also export final CSS specifications? It doesn't. I don't believe that it does any CSS stuff, but there is plugins for that now in the XD plugin store. So check that out, Thomas. Is it easier for developers to use it? I think it's super easy for developers to use XD. It's super simple to use, and you can now create those share links, which killed your XD apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
You might not be able to. That might be the problem.
Trying to see if I can reopen it before we're done, but
Right.
maybe not.
But yeah, I think it's super easy for developers to use XD. And they could, like I said, use that developer link and get everything they need out of there. Another question, do you make the style guide before or after wireframing?
I kind of do it, well, definitely after wireframing, and it's kind of in tandem with design.
Yeah,
So
nice.
as I'm making some like final decisions, like things that I know are going to stay in the design or that have been approved by the client, if it's something for a client, then I'll start kind of building out that style guide. Here we go.
Right.
Do I have time to go through it still?
Yeah, we have about 3 minutes or so.
Okay. The beach ball again, so we'll see.
Geez, that developer link really
Yeah, I didn't
killed
like
ya.
that. Maybe I need to update my
Yeah,
my
probably.
operating system.
Thomas said he also works as a developer and just started yesterday. Nice.
Oh, nice, cool. So if I'm not able to show you guys this prototype on this stream, make sure that you follow me on Behance because I am going to be making a project
Oh yeah,
about
perfect.
this
Yeah.
application in the next couple of weeks. So
Awesome,
you'll be
yeah.
able to see all the interaction stuff there.
Definitely check her out on there.
Yeah, because I don't think it's going to cooperate with me
Oh,
today.
that sucks. I wanted
Yeah.
to check it out one last time.
So sad.
Maybe try force quitting it and try one more time.
One more time, guys. Fingers crossed.
Josh said that your RAM needs to be refreshed. I don't know if you have an app for that. I know a lot of people do.
I don't think I do.
Flat or material design, which do you prefer?
I would say flat.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think so, yeah.
Material design, I used to like it kind of when it was first becoming a thing, but now
Yeah.
I've kind of turned off by it.
I think it's just because, well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say I don't really like the Android phones,
that's-
really, the interface.
right. There's total taste there, so
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work, guys. I'm so
We
sorry.
have about 1 minute left anyway. No worries. So is there any last minute question before we wrap up, guys? This is our last stream until, who knows, maybe we'll come back, right?
Maybe. Get invited back soon, hopefully.
Yeah,
I would
for
love
sure.
to come back.
Oh, XD, why are you doing this to us? Yeah,
I
seriously,
know.
Tim.
Sorry.
Don't start that debate of iOS versus Android. No debate here. We both prefer iOS, apparently, so
Yeah.
no worries there. Have you ever had performance issues in XD? No, I haven't had performance issues. I think, like a lot of things you have to think about is you have all these other apps open. Maybe you're not updated to things that can cause issues. But overall, I've never had performance issues specifically with XD being the problem. The mocks never get too complex, and you can actually have thousands of artboards before you have any problems. So nothing to worry about there. But that's pretty much it for us today. This is great. We have another stream coming up right after us with, who is coming up right after us? Can we actually check out this? Jermaine, that's right.
And Melody,
Yeah. Jermaine's coming up after us. So definitely stick around for that. But that's it for us, guys. So we're heading out. Thanks for joining us, and see you soon, hopefully.
Hi, guys.